According to the Jews, anyone who is not of Jewish blood are considered Gentiles, thus, not worthy of observing Torah, including the Ten Commandments. It is no wonder why the Ten Commandments have been removed. This is why during opening prayer at many U.S. Congress meetings, we see rabbis praying about these Noahide laws.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., March 15, 2007. I hereby appoint the Honorable Hilda L. Solis to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The prayer will be offered by Rabbi Shia Hartlaig, Chabad of Southern Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Almighty God, the members of this prestigious body, the U.S. Congress, convene here to fulfill one of the 7 Noahide commandments, the commandment to govern by just laws, which are based on the recognition of you, God, as the sovereign ruler of all people and nations.
And who are legislating the Golden State of California, they are gathered here to do your will, O God. You have commanded us 3,319 years ago at Mount Sinai with the 7 universal laws. And the most important one of them is the last one of them, to maintain a justice system. In our country, the country of America, the Rebbe said, is a malchus shel chesed, a kingdom of kindness, who is very kind, leading the entire world. And California is leading the entire America. And on its currency is printed, "In God we trust," which is the first of the 7 commandments. Bring this state, which is the Golden State, which the entire America follows, which the entire world follows, to bring it to its fullest potential until the ultimate redemption through your true Messiah.
Sadly, this is not just for the state of Israel or even the United States, but for the whole world. This obligation, to teach all the peoples of the earth about the laws of Noah, is incumbent upon every individual in every era. Mishnah Torah, Law of the Kings 8:10. Many nations have already made their allegiance to these so-called 7 laws of Noah.
שגריר גאנה ושגריר לטביה רוקדים עם מגבעת שחורה לצלילי מלך המשיח לעולם ועד, כשברקע דגלי חב"ד. נציג מלטביה, נציג מגאנה, נציג מפולין ונציגים נוספים ממדינות.
On Monday evening, in a small Jerusalem synagogue, 7 people from 3 non-Jewish families swore allegiance to the 7 commandments of Noah. They made their pledge in front of a group of rabbis from the reconstituted Sanhedrin Rabbinical Court, with Rabbi Yoel Schwartz presiding.
I, Susan Richardson, do hereby freely take upon myself the commandments of God to Noah and his offspring, and the covenant between God and Noah as pronounced in the Torah given to Moses.
In the postmodern era, Bnei Noach communities are popping up all over the world, and especially in the United States.
Jews from all over the world have returned to Zion, and now nations are joining Hashem.
It's like a new moment in your history. It's a new life, because you go from being a generic Ben Noach to a righteous Gentile, to a person who has a place in the world to come, to a person who is, as it were, sanctifying God's name, because you have chosen this path, not because you consider it to be moral or ethical or the right thing to do, but because it was revealed by Moshe from Hashem himself at Mount Sinai. And you go from the status of being a person who was not commanded to a person who was actually commanded and does these mitzvot, and that gives a greater spiritual stature to you. And so really it's like a whole new beginning.
Their goal is to get 70 nations to embrace these Noahide laws along with many individuals. Do you want to live in Israel? If so, are you prepared to sign forms giving your allegiance to these counterfeit lamb-like laws? Remember, the ones that the dragon will wage war with will be those that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and believe in Yahushua Messiah. 9 times in the book of Revelation this is mentioned. Revelation 1:2, Revelation 1:9, Revelation 3:8, Revelation 6:9, Revelation 12:11, Revelation 12:17, Revelation 14:12, Revelation 15:3, and Revelation 20, verse 4. All refer to the keeping of the commands of Yahuwah and the belief in Yahushua Messiah. In January 2004, the spiritual leader of the Druze community in Israel, Sheikh Mowafak Tarif, signed a declaration calling on all non-Jews in Israel to observe the Noahide laws as laid down in the Talmud, and expounded upon, in Jewish tradition. The declaration includes the commitment to make a better, more humane world based on the 7 Noahide commandments and the values they represent, commanded by the Creator to all mankind through Moses on Mount Sinai. Now you see, according to the Jews, Gentiles are not to be taught the Torah or even be permitted to keep Yahuwah's 7th-day Sabbath. This information can be found from the Jewish Encyclopedia. As we can see, clearly these laws do not say anything about the Sabbath. Inasmuch as the Jews had their own distinct jurisdiction, it would have been unwise to reveal their laws to the Gentiles, for such knowledge might have operated against the Jews in their opponents' courts. Hence, the Talmud prohibited the teaching to a Gentile of the Torah. Our Johanan says of one so teaching, such a person deserves death. It is like placing an obstacle before the blind. And yet, if a Gentile studies the law for the purpose of observing the moral laws of Noah, our Mir says, he is a good high priest. Resh Lakish said, a Gentile observing the Sabbath deserves death, SANH. 58b. This refers to a Gentile who accepted the 7 laws of the Noahide inasmuch as the Sabbath is a sign between God and Israel alone. Are you seeing the full picture here? By keeping the 4th commandment we are saying that we worship the Creator of heaven and earth. The 7th-day Sabbath was made Kodesh at the beginning, Genesis 2:3. The 7th-day Sabbath, beloved ones, is not the Jews, but it is the sign that binds believers to the Creator, Yahuwah. Satan has tried everything to get people not to remember to keep the 7th-day Sabbath Kodesh. Rabina, who lived about 150 years after the Christians had changed the day of rest to Sunday, could not quite understand the principle underlying Resh Lakish's law, and, commenting about it, added, not even on Mondays is the Gentile allowed to rest. They even go as far as to say that, quote, the original intention of Jesus, and especially of Paul, was to convert only the Gentiles to the 7 moral laws of Noah and to let the Jews follow the Mosaic law. This is unbelievable. Now, beloved ones, do you see why we see Mr. John Hagee along with the Vatican making absurd statements on how the Jews do not need the Messiah? Truly, these rabbis are wanting all to submit to them. Notice in the following clip how the recent convert has now lowered himself to the authority of the rabbi.
I usually sort of jokingly say I'm not disciplined enough to take on the 613, if you might say. If this is Bnei Israel, keepers of the Torah, I used to think that I was superior to the Jewish people. But as my eyes were opened, I realized that the Jewish people had a role in the scheme of God's plan, but yet I thought there should be dialogue. Now I place myself in this position, and now there is a clear channel or a conduit from Hashem, Torah, Bnei Israel, Bnei Noach.
We must remember what the scriptures tell us. There is neither Jew nor Greek, male or female, for we are all one in Messiah. I am reminded that the Messiah, Yahushua, has told us, do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, and you all are brothers.